New York, a city that never sleeps, the light of night showcases shatters against the skyscraper windows, like thousands of eyes watching every move. Alexander Morelli, a wealthy businessman, playboy, and collector of adrenaline his life. Endless parties, luxury cars, and women willing to do anything, but he is bored, so bored that even $20,000 champagne tastes like water. On one of those nights, he makes a decision. He doesn't need entertainment. He needs a challenge, and the plan is born quickly. The theft of a priceless Claude Monet painting from the Museum of Modern Art, not for money but for the game. He gathers a team: a former military sapper, a genius hacker, and a driver Schumacher. Everything is timed to the second night alarm. Disabled guards. Taken out, Alexander, with his own hands, removes the painting from the wall. He smiles for the first time in a long while. He feels alive. By morning, the newspapers explode with headlines: daring robbery in the heart of New York, Monet stolen. And somewhere in her office, insurance investigator Victoria Gray studies the photos from the crime scene. Her gaze cold and yet playful. She knows immediately it was him, Alexander Morelli. She whispers to herself, the game has begun. Morning in New York, newspapers scatter. Journalists push each other for the right to photograph the museum's empty wall, the Monet painting. Gone, the city buzzes. Alexander Morelli sits on the balcony of his penthouse, coffee, cigar, a smile on his face. He scrolls through the news about his own crime and enjoys how helpless the police look. But he doesn't know that Victoria Gray is already on the trail. She moves quietly, yet confidently. Her heels strike a sharp rhythm along the corridor of the insurance company. On the table before her, Morelli's file business empire: casinos, luxury yachts, but between the lines, something else: a serial hunger for risk. Victoria smiles with the corner of her lips. You left a trace, Alex, and I will find it. In the evening, she is already at the museum, the alarm system disabled far too professionally, but a small detail reveals the truth. The guard who was supposed to be on duty in that hall never showed up. A call to his phone was made from a private number, and that number leads to Morelli's club. She raises her head, her eyes shine for the first time in a long while. She has a real challenge. Meanwhile, Alexander prepares a new game because the painting was only the beginning. Evening in elite club in the center of New York. Music, champagne, people in expensive suits and evening gowns. Here rules a world where everything is bought and sold. Alexander Morelli, in a flawless tuxedo, moves easily among the guests, his smile a mask, but inside he feels excitement because he knows someone is watching him, and that someone appears. Victoria Gray enters the hall, a black dress, a cold yet confident gaze. Her presence is felt immediately. She walks to the bar and orders a martini. Alexander approaches her as if by chance. He smiles. You look as if you are searching for someone or something. Victoria replies without averting her eyes. And you look as if you have just stolen something. A few seconds of silence, their eyes meet. The game truly begins. A bold assumption, says Morelli, sipping champagne. Just a professional guess. She answers, raising her glass. They exchange words, but in truth, they exchange blows. Neither wants to retreat, neither wants to show weakness. But between the lines, something else begins to spark, a dangerous, almost forbidden attraction. Alexander leans closer and whispers, if this is a game, then you risk losing. Victoria smiles, I never lose. Their conversation ends abruptly. Somewhere nearby, shouts erupt. Two armed men burst into the club. They are searching for Morelli. Victoria and Alex exchange a quick glance. Their paths split. But it is already clear from now on they are both caught in the same dangerous game. Shouts. Panic. The guests of the club scatter in every direction. Glasses fall. Shattered glass rings out. Two armed men push through the crowd, pistols raised and ready. Morelli, "Come out," one of them yells. Alexander calmly sets aside his glass, his eyes cold. He understands. This is not the police. These are men from the past who decided to play their own game. A gunshot, a bullet shatters a bottle behind his back. Guests scream and dive to the floor. Alex manages to snatch a gun from a club guard and answers with fire. Everything happens in a flash. A table flips over, bullets whistle through the air. Victoria, instead of running, hides behind a column and follows his every move. She sees how confidently he shoots, if before it was only a suspicion. Now she is certain this man is not just a businessman, he is a criminal. Alexander rushes to the back exit, the street. The night, the engine of a sports car roars as he jumps behind the wheel, the gunman already behind him. Victoria does not hesitate. She grabs a car from the club valet and speeds away. New York falls asleep late, but this night it wakes to the roar of engines. 2 cars race through the streets, dodging taxis and buses. Bullets punch through metal, glass shatters to pieces. Alex drives as if this is just another of his favorite games. In the rearview mirror he sees not only the pursuers behind him, she is there too, Victoria. Their eyes meet for a moment, through speed, chaos, and danger, and in that moment he realizes she is not just a hunter, she is his reflection. The chase ends with a sharp dive into a dark alley. Morelli's car disappears into the shadows, and Victoria is left alone at the crossroads, breathing heavily. She whispers, "Well played, Alex. You won this round, but the next one will be mine." New York wakes after the night chase. The newspapers write about a shootout in an elite club, but not a single article mentions the name of the main player. Alexander Morelli remains in the shadows. He sits in the basement of an old warehouse in Brooklyn. On the table before him, the Monet painting wrapped in black cloth beside him, his men, nervous, shaken after the night's firefight. "Who were they?" asks the hacker. Alexander clenches his jaw. "Not the police. It was a warning. He knows from whom the New York Mafia had long wanted to tame him, and now they make it clear. Playing on their field without permission is dangerous." Meanwhile, Victoria receives confidential information. The bullets fired in the club were traced to weapons supplied by the Calderone clan, one of the city's oldest mafia families. She once again studies Morelli's photo. His smile irritates and at the same time attracts. She understands. Now he is at the center of a bigger game, and he can become either prey or predator. Evening, a restaurant in Little Italy. Alex sits at the table across from the gray-haired Don Calderone. The Don slowly cuts his steak and says, "You are too ambitious, Alexander, too reckless. The painting is not yours. It is ours." Morelli calmly lights a cigar. "You know, Don," he says, inhaling the smoke, "I do not divide art into mine or yours. There are only those who are able to take it, and those who only dream." Silence falls across the table. The mafioso's eyes grow darker, and everyone understands. There will be no peaceful way out of this story. And somewhere nearby, in a black car, sits Victoria. She watches the meeting through the camera lens, and in her eyes a new fire appears. She says quietly, "You are playing too hard, Alex, and now the stakes are your life." Night, an abandoned hangar on the outskirts of New York. Only the yellow beams of headlights cut through the darkness. Alexander Morelli steps out of the car. He came for negotiations, but he knows there will be no negotiations. Inside, they are already waiting, 5 armed men of the Calderone clan among them, the same man who fired shots in the club. At last, he says, "The playboy who decided to play Mafia." He rips the watch off Morelli's wrist and throws it to the floor. "Here you are not the master, here you are only prey." Alex only manages to smile. "If I am prey, then look closer, I am prey that bites back." He lunges into the fight. 2 fall instantly, but the third smashes the butt of a rifle against his head. Blood runs down his face. Alex falls to his knees. The click of a slide echoes, cold steel pressed to his temple the last second. And then